So the PDF for today's session is up on the OS Pro website. If anybody else needs it, I can put it back in the chat. Like if you're coming in a little bit later, sometimes that happens. But what we're going to do today can all be found right here. And let me get up to the scroll to the top. So we're talking about Toonbow bass lines, and the name of it. And now these lessons come from some guided practice sessions that I did based around Christian McBride's Fundamentals of Jazz Bass course, which is a great course. If you have, well, you're OS Pro, y'all can see all that, right? Check out that course to get some of him playing it. What I wanted to do is to kind of break down the basic rhythm of a Toonbow bass line, talk about what it is. Like this gets used in Afro-Cuban music, and or it originates in Afro-Cuban music, and that's definitely tied in with jazz, modern day jazz music, and of course, since the 50s, 60s, it's melded together, right? To this day, and keeps growing. But I just wanted to get into the basic ideas of what this Toonbow bass line is and put them through some different ideas and just practice, basically. Okay, so I've got a little conga pattern that I'm going to put on for us to practice to. And what I'd like to do is just to start off by counting and clapping this very first rhythm. It's basic, right? But we want to have this solidified. Here is our Toonbow pattern that I'm going to use. It's a 2-3 clave. What that means is 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, right? It's son because the last one is a little bit later, but it's still 2, 3. Cool? We're good there? Excellent. So the line to get started, let's just clap through letter A, basic. Okay? So I'll count us in 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. Now I have this as a 2-bar phrase because we're going to turn it that direction. Okay, so Yaming in the comment just commented 2-3 clave question mark. So let's clear that up. Here, do you hear the clave? 1, 2, 3. Top. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. Top. 1, 2. So it's 2 bars, basically. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. The clave is 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. That's not the beats that it's falling on, but that's the amount of clicks that we're answering. And this can get flipped around, and there's a bunch of different ways to think about the clave. But did that clear up the 2-3 aspect of it, Yaming? Yes? Great. So here is our tempo again. Here's our quarter notes, because that's really important to be able to understand that, of course. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that being said, we're doing this in a two bar phrases because going down the road we do a lot of anticipation, so we want to think about it in those terms, okay? So let's count and clap this basic rhythm one more time, then we'll put it on whatever your instrument you've got handy, okay? So here goes. 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3. 4. 1, 2, and 3. 4. 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. 4. 1, 2, and 3. 4. So make sure you've got that internalized. You don't need to read that, hopefully. Right? 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, great. So let's just take a minute really quick. I said we were going to put it on the instrument, but what I wanted to do before we do that is do both this A and B rhythm, and then we'll put it on the instrument. So if you can see where my mouse marker is right here, we've got basically the same rhythm as letter A. That's what's happening with letter B, and this is a more standard traditional Toonbow bass line. And I didn't mention the bass Toonbow gets its name from the tumbadora drum, lower pitched drum, just like kind of like in Brazilian music, how the surdo, that's what the bass job does, right? So we're basically emulating a drum, which is definitely important to know. And this gets done in the left hand on pianos for sure, and a lot of times to teach a bass player the bass line. So this definitely transfers over to different instruments, and you want to be able to hear this too, even if you're not playing the Toonbow line yourself. Okay, so back to it. This is basically the same rhythm, except we're going to tie over beat 4 into beat 1. And we're doing that here as the line ascends, and then we're going to do it here where that's the main difference between A and B. This line is going to descend back to what the first note is. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, and 4. We don't play 1 again, but we let that note sustain. That's really important for this, the length of these to really happen. Then an and a 2 again, just like what we saw over here, and then beat 4, and it sustains over into beat 1 of the top. Okay, this tie is not written in this way just because Sibelius is kind of funky with ties and stuff like that. But basically, here is what our rhythm sounds like. So here's our tempo, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. So I'll count you in and let's try this together. Just counting and clapping the rhythm. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 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 3, 4. 2 and 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 2 and 3, 4. Right? And 4. Now sometimes the bass players will delineate the top again. I'll just let this go if you want to keep counting and clapping that, and I'll talk about it a little bit more. Remember, it's 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, top, 2. You could flip that around though if the music dictates it. But sometimes the bass player will re-strike this beat 1. It's not always tied over, and a lot of times it has to do with where we're at in the form, or if something just needs to tighten up, or if that's just a stylistic choice. But let's play this again, make sure we're together. 4, 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 4, and 4, and 4, and 4, right? And 4, and 4. Cool. Let's go back to basic again, just clap through a few more times, then we'll go through B, then we will put it on the instrument. So here's basic. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, go. Cool? So we want to see the relationship of this to the more syncopated version of the tumbao line. Okay, so here we go with that. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 2 and 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. Cool? All right, great. And there are more variations that we're going to check out at the bottom down here if we have time and desire to. But let's get our instruments handy and start playing through some of this stuff, okay? I just chose D as a random key. It's really, you know, it's just a root fifth octave. So the line is going to be like this. Oh, yes, Sam, for sure. I put it in the chat, and I made the mistake of putting it in before you had joined, so my bad. I'm glad you asked. Thank you. The PDF is also available on the OS Pro website, where you go to the Rhythmic Guided Practice Training link. The link, it's right where you found the link to come here. You can find it there. But let me put it in the chat. Right there. So, thanks for letting me know that you need it. Okay, so let's just start off by getting the basic bass line. I'm doing it in D, so, you know, if it's, do it in D with me. That way it jives, okay? So play this bass line with me, and think about everything being really long, okay? We're not really worried about making any notes staccato just yet, okay? So we're gonna do letter A, basic. Just play it along with me, and we'll sit with this for a while so it feels really comfortable, okay? 2, 1, 2, 3, go. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2. So it's really, it feels like a 1-bar loop, right? But think about it in 2. Top. Second bar. Top, right? Second bar. Like that. Yeah, you could. I think it's a little less traditional. And just for the other examples going on further. So Juan in the chat was saying, can we make that put a 9th on top? put the E natural on the top, and that's definitely a cool line that you could do for sure. So you can variate these in any way harmonically that you want. What we're doing is the rhythmic concept. Okay? All right, so let's look at letter B now. What we're gonna do is work on playing this. Let's just work on this first bar, let the second bar go. So what I mean by that is this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. And notice where 1 is. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. Cool? So make sure that feels good and you know where you're at inside of this bass line. Something that I find that helps with this too is to think about it not in all 4 beats, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, but maybe think about it as in groups of 2, like this. 1, 3, 1, 3. Bigger open feeling, right? So something like that. So like 1, 3. I can't say it. Talk. 3, 1, 3, 1, 3. Right? Something like that, but I can't say it. But that's how I'm tapping my foot, and so that's why I brought it up. All right, let's add in that second bar of letter B now. And if anybody wants to chime in here too, if anything's hanging you up, just let's talk about it, okay? Let's do the whole line of letter B and let's do it together, okay? I'll give you a count in. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, go. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2. 1, 1, 1. 1. Try saying 1 if you're not. 1. 1. 1. 1. A little bit longer. Cool. Now, I know a lot of folks in here also use the Drum Genius app, and that is the app that I'm using for this sample. This is Congo's Tumbao 1. It's at 117 beats per minute, so it seemed like a good starting point, a good sample to use for this particular example. Everybody good with our Tumbao line up to this point? See? No? See? Okay. Bueno. For the second bar, what if we go to an A? Mario's laughing at me. I'm sorry, Mario. I gotta do it sometimes, you know. My super limited Spanish. Let's look at letter C now. Okay, so I want to take this Tumbao bass line and put it over just the first A section of Autumn Leaves, because it's standard changes that likely a lot of us here will know, and if we don't, they're all right here in the PDF as well. So it's basically a 2-5-1 in B flat, 2-5-1, and then it goes to a 4 chord in B flat, and then a minor 2-5 in G minor, right? Cool. All right, and Noriko, thank you. I see you in the chat there. So the idea here is to get the bass line where we're anticipating the chord change that's coming up. Okay, so if we look at letter C, this is over Autumn Leaves, A section, you anticipate the chord changes. We don't anticipate the first one typically. We usually start on beat 1. And again, sometimes we get to the back end of the form and we get back to C minor again, and sometimes that's not anticipated, or they're both played, just to delineate where 1 is again. And sometimes that has to do with who you're playing with, you know what I mean? But here we're gonna hit 1, 2, and 3, 4, and on beat 4 we're playing the chord change that's coming up. Make sense? Cool. So let's try it out. Let's just first, before we bring in the sample, let's just get the line under our hands, okay? So I'll count off a different tempo and let's try playing together, okay? So let's try it maybe there, where this is the quarter note. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 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 3, 4. 1, 2 and 3, 4. 1, 2 and 3, 4. 1, 2 and 3, 4. 2 and 3, 4. We're repeating it again. 1, 2 and 3, 4. 1, 2, 1. 1, 1, 1. And you could do this. So there I hit beat 1 instead of beat 4. And I think it's really important to say that 1 and at least be as aware of it as possible, because when we play bass lines like this, it can make it start to seem like beat 4 is 1. So like 1, 2, and 3. 1, 1. I mean, if you're not used to this concept, then it can sound like the anticipation is actually where we're dropping the new chord change. So we don't want to get stuck in that, you know? We want to be able to know where 1 is at all times. So I think saying it out loud as we work on this is a great idea. Another point that I did not mention yet is that we're playing, especially from a bass player point of view, we're playing root and fifth, right? Every time. This doesn't always have to be the case, but it's the strongest way to make this line, in my opinion, and the most commonly used tactic. Cool? Let's try it through again. Let's try bringing in the sample now, okay? Or the drum loop. So we hear all 4 beats are, right? So what our line is going to sound like rhythmically is this. 1, 1, 1. Cool? All right, let's try it out. We'll play through at least a few times, and I'll call it out if we need to stop or go on. Let's try it together. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, go. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. I'm gonna stop saying when you say it at home or wherever you are. I couldn't help it there. Keep repeating it. Try to really dig in. Remember to keep everything long. One more time through. 1. That's the top, right? B flat. B flat. 2. 5. 1. I'm gonna dip out. You keep going though. It's the B flat chord, E flat chord. Here's beat 1. 1. 1. 1. 1. Here's the top of the form. Cycle it again. Dun, dun, da, da, B, da, 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 B, da, 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 ba, da, da. One more time through. Okay, cool. Sorry if I stopped that and you were grooving. Again, this is just a good drum loop that we can put on, and it's really fun to practice. But also practice this without any metronome or drum loop happening as well, and make sure it's feeling really solid. A great way to understand where you're at rhythmically with this too is to record yourself and listen back. You know, honestly listen back, of course, and peacefully listen back. Just see where you're at. So making the 1. Yeah, the 1 is very helpful. Agreed, Yaming, and thank you for noting that for sure. To get that into your left hand is to get groove into your playing. Hey, yeah, well said, Juan, for sure. It's in my left hand. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, for sure. I can only imagine, you know, like well, I can't imagine like kind of what happens on top of it, but to really have that solidified, you know, to have that bass roll on the piano I know it needs to be rock solid. You know what I mean? Especially if you're doubling this with the bass player. You want it to feel right. And yeah, that's where it's at. Cool. Well, if anybody has any comments, questions, whatever at this point, you know where the chat is. Feel free to chime in. We can also unmute and just talk about stuff. But yeah, higher speed. I was just thinking that too, Juan. I was going to, yeah, you want to try it at a higher speed before we try some of the variations? Because it definitely feels different as we go faster. Cool. So I could just up the tempo in this particular sample and feel what that feels like. Let's just hear what we were at 117. I feel like playing bass now. Hey, right on, Noriko. Let's listen to what 130 sounds like, and maybe we can gradually keep going up. And yes, to solidify it for sure. That's a bit brighter, right? This can go very, very fast. Remember, here is the quarter note. So let's try through this a little bit longer, okay? Let's do maybe 4 times through the A section form at the very least, okay? And if you can do it without reading, it's gonna feel better. I don't know why, but reading stuff always has that disconnect. You know, it takes a little bit longer from my eyes to my fingers. If you can just know the formula for how this works and play it, it's gonna feel better. All right? So if you can get to that, that'd be great. Let's try it together, okay? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, go. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. 1. Say 1 at home if you're not, or at least feel it. You can of course vary the octaves if you feel like it. It doesn't always need to be ascending. Here comes the top. 1. 1. Okay, here comes the top now. Top. Da, da, 1. Da, 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 1. Da, da, 1. Da, da. One more time through. Da, da, 1, da, da, 1, da, 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 da. And now just listen to the rhythm of this line versus what happens with the clave. You still hear the clave clapping? If the line is this, check this out. I'm sorry. You hear that those last two clave clicks line up with where our bass line's falling, right? This is where the 2-3 son clave lines up. These last 2 little clicks right here. So I think that's a good thing to do. 1, trying to put the chords on the right hand on a 1. Good independence training too. Hey, very cool. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Let's see what it feels like to bump the tempo up even faster. Okay, was everybody feeling that tempo okay? Sweet, let's try it out, okay? And if actually doing the line is an issue, then just count and clap it, because that's the most important thing, is to really feel that, okay? All right, hold up for 1 second. Where was I? This one's a little bit faster. That's at 150 now. Still a 2-3 son clave. It's a slightly different pattern, but so where's the tempo? Right? And what's our rhythmic line? 1, 1, 1. And if I'm feeling it here, 3, 4, 1, 3, 1, 3. That helps me to line up, because then I'm thinking more subdivisions. Do you know what I mean? Instead of all 4 beats, which can kind of slow you down sometimes. Da, 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 da. Cool? Let's try it out. Let's try out Autumn Leaves again. Now, if you heard me singing just then too, I was singing it this way. Da, 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 da. You hear I'm singing that short? Sometimes that happens too, like this. But that's a little bit of the variation, okay? But let's just try the same. You could try that short if you want to, but let's try the same bass line that we're looking at. Boogaloo, yeah, definitely. Letter C. Let's try this out together a few times through. I'll start with you and then I'll let you take it, okay? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Sorry, just trying to be funny. 1, 1, 1, 1. Sorry. 1. I'm gonna dip, you keep going, okay? One more time through. Okay, I'm gonna pause it up here now. Sorry if you were grooving. Sorry if you were jamming. Just wanted to get into the other topics here. So, everybody feeling this? Still fun? Okay, good. It should be fun and it should feel good too, right? This is just like, you know, there's a lot of school of thoughts on this, but okay, good, Yao Ming. I like seeing that or hearing that. This should make you want to dance. This is definitely dance music, you know? And I think that goes into swing music and jazz and especially modern music too, but we won't get into the weeds on that right now. But it should feel good and you should enjoy playing this. I hope you do at least. So let's get into some of the variations that I have written here and we can talk about that, okay? So down here, this letter D, this is probably the original dance bass line. I think so, man. Yeah. Probably so. Probably so. It definitely gets me moving. My wife really is big into salsa dancing. I love going salsa dancing with her. Even though I don't know all the moves, like feeling this music and feeling the groove, it's just so much fun. And I think it makes me a better bass player too, or musician. Definitely makes me a better husband because she wants me to go dancing. So anyways, let's look at letter D. I've got 4 different variations on this the same tumbao type of bass line. And these are variations that just come up in real life, you know what I mean? Like you don't always need to stick to each one of these. There's so many variables inside of this. You could play this particular bass line the whole time, and as long as it feels good and keeps people dancing and you don't mess up their groove, then you're good. Let's see, beat 4 is already in the next chord, which is rolling the whole feel. Absolutely. It's kind of like, and we feel this in like New Orleans music too, like when we have a big accent on beat 4. Do you know what I mean? Or we play that anticipatory type of feel. And I bet you that's kind of where this music particularly comes into jazz music. You know, it's definitely a fair amount of the Afro-Cuban influence inside of early jazz. Do you know what I mean? And it's still to this day part of what's happening. Well, I think whether or not we recognize it or not. But anyways, let's check out the variations on the tune bow. Letter D, number 1. What we're seeing here is basically just a slight deviation on the same bass line. So we're still thinking root, fifth, root, and I like to ascend just for these examples, but you can of course play these down or in any other octave displacement direction that makes sense at the moment. But the difference is that we're hitting this, instead of the and of 2 on the second bar, we're hitting it on beat 3 and then playing beat 4 because we're always going to in the second part of the phrase. If you look further down in the different variations, we have another type of anticipation right here, but let's not stress about that just yet. Okay, so instead of thinking the chord changes right now, let's just vibe out on D on this variation with our sample going, okay? Actually, before we kick in the sample, let's just count and clap this, make sure we're feeling this, okay? A little bit slower than where we were at, okay? So let's say here's the quarter notes, okay? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? So it's still got that ostinato type of feel, that hypnotic, repetitive type of thing that can just go on forever. And a lot of times it does. So, okay, let's bring in our sample. I'm going to use this same sample. If the tempo needs to drop at all, let me know. Just say you want it slower, okay? Because now we're here. Just definitely faster. Let's count and clap that rhythm first. This is D number 1. Let's just count and clap this first. 1, 2, 3, go. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 and 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. Cool. So you got that memorized? So now what we're going to do is put it root, 5th, octave, 5, root. Cool? Let's try it out. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, go. 1, 2, 1, 1. Sometimes this note is short, or at least it sounds like it should be. But if you play it long, or for the duration of the quarter note, it still works too. Sorry, I anticipated that. 1, 2. Let's stop here, okay? Cool. Let's put that through our autumn leaves changes now. That same rhythm. You want to give it a shot? Bruce, you're up for it, aren't you? I saw your jaw drop. You're like, no! Yes, let's do it. You can do it. All right, so I'll play it through with you a few times, and then I'll dip and let you work on it on your own, okay? But I'm looking at your visual feedback for any clues as to what's happening here. So the autumn leaves changes with the D number 1 variation. Let's try it out, okay? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1. 4. 1. 1, 2. Sorry. 1, 2. 1, 2. Cool. So if you look at the way that this is written out, if you're still reading this, every other measure is going to be the same. This measure will be exactly the same, but we'll put this on beat 3 and beat 4 instead of the anticipation of the end of 2, right? That's the only difference. Let's try it a few more times through. We'll do it together. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, go. 1. 1. 1. 1. my beat 3 short. It feels a little bit different. One more time through. Sorry. You got it. I don't want to clutter up your lines with my bass line. Keep doing it. Okay, cool. So just looking at the time, I would like to get through these last few variations here as well, because they're fun and they're interesting, and you can work on these over the winter break too and just jam along. Yeah, so let's look at the variation number 2. So basically what we have here is a lot like our original variation, except we're not tying the and of 2 to beat 3 in this first measure, right? So it's still dong, ding, dong, like 1, 2, and 3, 4, except now we're playing beat 3 actually as a note. So the rhythm changes. So we end up with 1, 2, and 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, 4. And that second measure is what we're used to already, the and of 2 and beat 4 anticipating. Count it and clap it with me. It's just a small variation, right? But to get it correct, I think really means a thing. And then also I hear this particular note, the and of 2, as a more staccato note in listening to the music, you know? So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and 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 3, 4, 2, and 3, 4, 1, 2, and 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Dan is saying, what beats are the 2-3 clicks on the top hitting? Hey, good. Yeah, let's investigate that. So tell me, this is where the quarter notes are. 1. So what about in that first measure? What beats is the 2 hitting? 1, 1. I'm hearing 1, 2, 3. 2, 3. 2, 3, 4. So I'm hearing it like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and 3, 4. Like 3, 4. Agree? Disagree? Any other opinions? Do y'all hear what we're talking about? It's really important to know where this clave is hitting for sure. Sometimes it gets moved around in different ways too. It can be put like that, to where the last group of the 3 is an 8th note off. 1, 2, and 3, 4, and. I hear that sometimes. Is that cool, Dan? Let me know if that didn't answer your question, because I'm not trying to skirt your question at all. Okay. Okay, so let's put this bass line with the, oh good, excellent. So number 2, let's put this bass line just in D with the pattern that's happening right now, okay? Let's play it. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. 1. So this one's on you to put it through the changes of Autumn Leaves or whatever tune that you want to work on. You can put this to most standards, this kind of concept to most standards. But I wanted to play through the next two variations while we've got the loop going and just keeping it in D. So let's look at number 3 now. This one is very similar to what we've been doing, but with slight variations that they really can change the feel and the openness of the groove that you're providing. So here what we have is 1, 2, and 4, and. So the rhythm would be like this: 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, 4, and. Just for that first bar. Right? This is number 3. Just play that much with me. Let's play that much. Just that first bar of variation number 3. One. All right, let's fill it out now. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1. 1. 1. 1. I really like this one. And again, those eighth notes, you can play around with the articulation of them. All right, keep doing it. I'm gonna let you vibe on it for a minute. Remember to keep in mind where 1 is. Don't get it turned around. Cool. Let's look at the 4th variation now. Just slightly different, okay? If you're with me this far, then this number 4 is not going to be a problem with you. It's going to be totally fine, okay? Let's count and clap it. The second measure is exactly like what we were just playing, so I'm not going to stress that too much. We're going to keep that the same as what we were just doing. The difference is in the first measure this time. The and of 2, then the and of 3 to beat 4. So here's how it's counted and clapped. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. That's for you, Juan. How y'all feeling with this right now? You good? Sweet. Let's put it through the Autumn Leaves changes. Huh? Or should we speed it up, or should we put it through the changes? Speed it up. Oh, okay. Rob says speed it up. I'm gonna do what Rob says. Let's see. Let's try it at 140 and see what that feels like, okay? Here's our quarter notes. I'm gonna let you pick it up first. Just try. You could do any of these variations you want at this point, I guess, but I'm gonna think about number 4. Make it feel good at this tempo. Think about the length of your notes, really lining it up, making it groove. So play. I'm not playing because I'm letting you play. I'll count you in though if you want. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. You got it? 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Everybody feeling good? Let's try a little bit more juice, huh? Let's try upping the tempo a little bit more and see what that feels like, all right? Because it is going to feel different. Remember to stay relaxed when we get faster. This one is only going to let me go up to 150 right now, so let's put it there and see what that feels like. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. And I'm counting the clave, or clapping the clave. But if we do number 4, 1, 1, 1, 1. So y'all, let's try this out. Let's try playing it over Autumn Leaves. Let's see how it goes. Just feel it. You know the changes. Remember, we're just going to do roots and fifths and go on to the next chord. And we'll see what happens. So this is when the chord changes. Then this is when the chord changes, right? That's when the chord changes. So it's going to change on 4 except for the very first one. Okay? Let's try it. Let's try it out. It's no big deal. We're practicing, right? So we're doing the Autumn Leaves changes with variation number 4. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, that should have been a C at the end. Sorry. How did that go for everybody? Feeling okay? Nice. And of course, you can intersperse a bunch of these variations and change them up. So you end up with a bass line. It's maybe like, I'll just do this in D, but with some other rhythmic variations. Starting off like at the beginning. 1, 2, 1, 2. So basic. You did? Oh, that's cool, Sam. Ah. I relate to that, Sam. So here's the basic line, right? That's the first variation. But you could do do stuff like this. Just go through them. 1, 2. And then every now and then drop in beat 1 can really make a big difference. So cool. I'm going to stop sharing the screen here. I'm sure you've all got the PDF and we've read through everything. So congrats on this. I definitely wanted to bring up this comment that Sam just dropped though, because I completely relate to it. And all bass players I think do too. I'm not sure. Sam, are you playing bass or are you playing piano? Bass? Yeah. It's so piano. Okay, thank you. So Sam's comment here, and I'm sure you see it, I found playing the changes easier than playing the drone. My mind wandered with the drone. And that is a very, very common thing, right? Because it is this kind of hypnotic, repetitive type of situation. So you're like, oh, I got this. And your mind starts to wander, right? At least mine, that's definitely a thing. So I'm a big fan of putting on these loops for a long time and really trying to make sure I'm not zoning out. Almost like a meditation. If I notice that my mind is starting to wander, that's okay, that's cool, but trying to bring it back. You know what I mean? It is that honestly, it's a meditative type of thing to do these repetitive ostinato bass lines. But that's super crucial. You know, I was just listening to, have y'all heard Herbie's Mwandishi album? Y'all know that opening line? No, Dan? Anyways, there's like I guess it's in 15. How does it go? If you know the album, that's the opening track. There's this ostinato that happens, and it happens nonstop. And Buster Williams plays that line almost without any variations for like 12 minutes. And it grooves the whole time. You know what I mean? And I think there's so much beauty in that, you know, just sticking with this particular line and really standing your ground and being that foundation, at least from a bass player's point of view. That's a really big concept. A man in the pocket. Yes, indeed. All the time. He lives there. So I think it's definitely a thing though. We gotta stay aware of that. Mario, what's the name again, Bob? I'm wanting to say it's the Mwandishi. Hold on, let me type it out. Thank you. Yeah, Yaming nailed it right there. So it's like 1974-ish, something like that. Billy Hart plays drums on it. It's killing. Benny Maupin, I believe, is on it. No, I could be wrong. Eddie Henderson is definitely on it. But it's all day it's Buster Williams on bass, who's a beast on upright bass and electric bass. Just incredible. Before Headhunters. I think it's before Headhunters. I'm pretty sure it's pre-Headhunters, but he was starting to get a little bit spacey. There's a lot of effects on the drums and of course effects with the piano and everything like that. He's on Rhodes. Check it out. It's an adventure. Yeah, totally Yaming, for sure. Well, cool. So that is all the stuff that I had for us to practice today, and I see we're almost at the hour already. Not that we need to go for an hour, but I don't want to keep anybody longer than we need to. So did anybody have any other questions or comments or anything like that related to our Tumbao studies for today? Or our shedding? The floor is definitely open. And if you need inspiration for hearing some of these lines, the godfather of these type of bass lines is Cachao, Israel Cachao Lopez. Who you can find pretty easily, Cachito. Thanks, Bruce. Merry Christmas to you as well. Appreciate you. Thanks, Juan. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to all of y'all. I love doing these sessions and us vibing and grooving to different rhythms despite our distance. I think this is so much fun. Andy Gonzalez, thank you, Noriko. Yes, there's many, many people out there. Excellent.
Yeah, thanks. I'm new, but I'm planning to be a regular.
Oh, that's great, Sam. Excellent. I'm glad you're here. Thanks for joining us. Super cool. Hey, Rob, I'll put up some links in the on the bass, not the bass community, but the OS Pro site for the rhythmic guided practice session. Yeah, we'll find some fun stuff. Anybody else too, if you like to listen to this music, put up some links. Give us some stuff to listen to. while we're opening our presents. Yeah, welcome, Sam. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, yeah. Colleen likes your hat and lawn. You already knew that though. You wore it for her, I know. Yes. Yeah, you could say, yeah. There's definitely a lot of baking going on here at the house already. So, well, happy holidays, everybody. Happy holidays, and have a great New Year. Adam will be hosting for me next week. I'll be out on the road and not be able to make this, but we will have our rhythmic guided practice session next Tuesday. I'm not sure what he has in store, but I'm sure it's going to be fun, so don't miss it. And I will be back in 2022. Cool? So great to
Cool.
see everybody. And please be well and happy practicing, all right? Peace, y'all. Bye. We'll use that Indian language. Oh man. Oh, I'm in the green room now. I'm hanging out with the pros here. Getting ready for that joint class. I gotta read all these. Hey, y'all have fun. I'm really gonna go now. Peace. Bye, everybody.